And remember, an audience can't see rhythm, pace, volume, things like that. So you need to be able to show it in your dialogue. Okay, you need to be able to show it to the actor if it's a screenplay or a play, or you need to be able to show it to the reader if it's in prose. But you still need to be able to show rhythm, pace, volume, and so forth. Okay, it's very, very important. And of course, one of the best ways to do that is punctuation. Right? Punctuation can actually be your greatest asset in writing believable dialogue. Right? A statement is very different than a question, and a question is very different than an exclamation. Each one has a different sound, different force, and it reveals a different thing about the character saying it. Right? Punctuation will be the thing that reveals to your audience if a character is leaving a thought unfinished. Punctuation will be what reveals if the character is solid, grounded person, or if they're flighty. If they babble uncontrolledly, or if they speak in quick, clipped tones. It's literally the single greatest tool that you have in your entire arsenal to reveal character subtext. Okay, so definitely very, very, very useful. However, I should also warn, don't overuse punctuation. Are you sure you really want that many question marks? Are they really going to scream for 5 solid pages? It might be a little old. Right? But intelligent punctuation is amazing. It is literally the best thing that you can possibly use. And don't underestimate the power of the pause. A lot of times that pause is a lot more effective than the words, that you would come up with there. There's a writer, playwright named Harold Pinter, if you've ever heard of him. I think I may have mentioned him before. But he invented a thing called the Pinter pause, or I guess he didn't really invent it, but it's become known as the Pinter pause. Okay, it's this pause in dialogue. And he actually had 3 different types of pauses in the writing that he did. He had the ellipsis, the pause, and the silence. Okay, now an ellipsis, that's the little dot dot dot. Okay, it just shows a hesitation. It's quick. Okay, so an ellipsis just shows a hesitation. Okay, see how it's quick, but there's a thought process that has to go on there. Okay, that's an ellipsis. Okay, a pause. A pause is a noticeable gap. It shows a crisis. Okay, it's more of a mundane crisis, run-of-the-mill crisis, but it's still it's a crisis, right? That means your thoughts, they're racing, the tension is building, and a pause is filled with the unsaid. It's filled with the unsaid. That's actually a phrase that he used to describe it, and that's something to be thinking about. Pauses can be used very, very effectively. Last one is a silence, and a silence is a dead stop. That means the confrontation has become so extreme that you literally can't say anything after that. All you can do is stop. And that's a silence. It means it's going to go on for a little bit. That often indicates the change to a different movement of the story, the character, something like that. The pauses and the silences in his work, those are usually where the climaxes occur. And that's something to think about. It's not screaming where the climaxes occur, but silence. Okay, so remember, think about those pauses. People do pause, in those conversations. People also talk about the mundane, right? They talk about boring stuff. Characters are people, right? People don't wear their hearts on their sleeve. Characters lie. People lie, right? They hide their feelings. Are often too nervous to say what they really feel or really want to say to another character. Great example, a play called The Cherry Orchard by Anton Chekhov, one of the masterpieces of 20th century writing. The climactic scene of that play is literally a conversation about the weather. That's it. It's a conversation about the weather. They're literally just talking back and forth about the weather. But why it's a climactic scene? You've got these 2 characters. They're in love with each other. Both of them are too afraid to tell the other person how they feel. And to top it off, If they don't end up getting together and getting married, then this character's family is going to lose their property. They're going to be destitute. They're going to be out on the street. Essentially, they're going to be homeless. So we've got incredibly high stakes going on here. And the problem is, instead of them wearing their heart on the sleeve and saying those climactic words that you would expect, instead, they don't say it. And as an audience watching that, it's just like, oh, you know, it draws you into it. And so that's a great lesson to know in what you can do with dialogue and what you can do with a lack of dialogue, honestly, a lack of characters actually saying what they feel. Okay, so check out, actually, I put in a sheet with this called Developing Dynamic Dialogue. Okay, definitely check that sucker out. There's some good information in there. Think about all the stuff as you start writing your bits of dialogue today. Okay, today we're going to do a quick playwriting exercise. We're only going to focus on one thing. Shouldn't be too hard for you. But I want to make sure you feel really, really comfortable with these basics before we move into other aspects. Okay, so kind of think about all that stuff as you are worrying about the activity for today.